This news
and a Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, dear friends, my lovely audience. Welcome to the East-West Show that is exclusively sponsored by Wolfers, the Belgian royal family designated brand of jewelry with 400 years of glorious history, hand-forged by 10 generations of the greatest craftsmen, which stand for altogether the testimony to the spectacular and a share of the royal glory. Back to the show. Today with my old friend, Mr. Chris Nibby, who is also an old friend of the community, of the show, of Justice, famous director, producer, and screenwriter, and with a credit that is almost as tall as Jumalama Himalaya. Welcome to the show.
Ayamaya Sheshini.
Thank you very much. I like your Ayamaya. That's good Chinese already. Very good. Today I have my friend Chris Nibby here is totally for the purpose of sharing something very good, sharing something that proves we both are right. Here, what happened was 2 days ago in Shanghai, China, Costco opened, right? Within 4 hours of time, they had to close, which is bad. But the positive part is that they had to close happily. Right. They have to reopen in a better way. So with that news, I'm using that as a lead line to lay down what is exactly being requested at the grassroots level, at the bottom line level, when people and the people are concerned. That's why the title of today's show is that peoples are to be represented. So you understand what I mean? Okay, now, with my friend Chris Nibby, what do you know about the Eastern in Shanghai?
I only know that it was sold out very quickly, which I was amazed. First of all, I'm amazed that Costco at this late state opens a business in China. Secondly, I am surprised that they do it at the time which is probably at the lowest level of political relations between America and China due to the tariffs which have been, the trade war which has been initiated by the American government. And I'm also surprised at the same time about the unending enthusiasm of the Chinese people for America and what America does, while actually America is trying to contain and harm them. But I'm fascinated by the fact that they so much admire America. There is a great contradiction there.
Because Chinese have a good temper. They can hold their temper. I mean,
Yeah.
You know, I'm kidding. All right, that's a very good point, though.
Yeah.
Let me give you some comment of mine.
Yes.
On your first point, right? Your first point being that you are surprised, or you are happily surprised to see that Costco opened the business at such a moment, right? That's the very moment when U.S.-China relationship or the trade war thing goes to the bottom of the shallow, right? And people still dare to open business, dare love to visit, and that is a very, 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 very good point, right? For that, you know what I want to do? I want to give the Costco CEOs a full score, because they really do their homework. They really understand what people, between people and the politics, what is the distinction. Do you think so?
Yes, and I wonder if they're really that clever, or I don't know. If they are that clever, yes, then you are right. I really don't believe so, because Costco, Walmart, they are mass market operators in America and basically cater to the lower middle class of America. I mean, I have never been at Costco. I have never bought at Walmart. And so I'm surprised. But what really surprises me is the enthusiasm of China, of the Chinese people, for America, because really,
Yes,
they
you're
really,
right.
because really, they know very little about America, and what they know they get from Hollywood films, and they have a very distorted view. Because I want you to realize that, for example, right now there is also a trend to stop the many students who come from China.
Yeah, we'll touch that
Yeah.
part a little later, right?
Yeah.
Let's meander on the very point of Costco management, because they have to have a pair of keen eyes
They
to
must.
see the possibility of the people's love of American goods there before they made a strategy to try it in Shanghai to test prove it.
Even though most of the articles they are being sold at Costco are made in China.
Exactly so, my dear brother.
It's such a,
Exactly so. That's the world.
yeah.
That's the world. Okay, now I go back to my brother. Every time when I go back to my brother, I buy from the shelves of Costco because number one, they have bigger bottles, bulk quantities, right? Number two, when you do buy bulk quantities, you buy cheap. Prices are cheaper, right? Of course, when it's divided into per pill, you pay about 75% per pill. Then you buy 100 pill bottle, right? You pay more, like that kind of thing, right? So now the bottles, I mean, the content of the, for example, take vitamin D, for example. The vitamin D may be produced here. The bottle, made in China, right? And the cap,
Right.
and the package,
Made in China.
made in China, right? Now, is it a joke or is it not a joke that Chinese produce the bottle to ship to the United States, to have them fill in with the pills, to let Jack Chow to buy it, bring it back to his brother in China, who lives maybe next door to the manufacturers that produce the bottles.
But that shows you that globalization is irreversible.
That is the point, my dear brother. Thank you for pointing out.
Even though America is against globalization and are trying to stop it and ignore it or contain it wherever they can. It's a paradox there. It's a tremendous paradox.
For the past few years, every time on 4th of July, I do a 4th of July special show with either my own crew or my crew plus invited guests, right? For that, I buy a flag of the United States of America to give out to everybody, so that on the show we kind of like we're rattling it, right? Just for the joy. Each time I buy,
Made in China.
I buy it from the 99-cent store, made in China.
Yes.
Made in China. All right. So, is it a significant?
Yes.
Is it a significant point that Jack Chow, a China-made, U.S.-trained show host, doing a show in the celebration of United States of America for this national day, my national day, using the flag of the United States of America that is made of China. You tell me, where is the line?
It's a total paradox.
There's no line.
No,
There's no line at all. Is that right?
no.
All right. Well, that said, though, I still have to give the credit to the upper management of Costco because they read the mind of the people.
It would be interesting to ask to have them talk and find out, to talk with them and find out if it really, or if it just is pure luck.
Of course, I believe that. I can even bet they had not made the decision overnight. They must have been going through a profound investigation, right?
Research,
of
yes.
the market and research of market, and even check with the consumers one by one-on-one, to find out if the potential of buying is there, right? Right. I'm so glad, my dear friend. Today, I share with you my overjoy with a friend of mine, Mr. Chris Nebe, a director, producer, screenwriter of Hollywood, and with you, of course, my dear brothers, sisters, of the positive thing. I'm such a man that I have a mind that I never want any particle stuff, particle element, in spite of, even if it is small, only a sparkle, I would just grab it and show it to everybody to let people see, there's a little light here. Right? So at the moment when U.S. China are so deeply involved, so deadly involved in the trade war, though, we see the opposite. We see twilight. Ba-bum, 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 bum, bum, that kind of thing. All right. So let's take a short moment out. We will be right back, please.
Everything expected. It's like seeing John Wayne.
My name is Paul James. I host News
And a Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, my dear friends, my lovely audience. Welcome back to the show. Jack Chow, your host with the East-West show that is exclusively sponsored by Wolfers, the Belgian royal family designated brand of jewelry with 400 years of glorious history, and that stands for testimony of the spectacular and the share of the royal glory. Back to the show with my friend, Mr. Chris Nebe, a director, producer, screenwriter of Hollywood. We are sharing our overjoy with you over the story of Costco in China, Shanghai, China. Even though there's one instant, but it is a sparkle of the twilight, probably that will light up the whole sky given time. Please feel the same joy as we do, right? And people at the grassroots level, the way I understand it, politics are not that important to them. Do you agree with me?
Yes, because people actually are very simple wishes. They have to have a safety net for their family, want to feed their family and have a nice weekend and enjoy life on their level. And the level of the normal average people is not very high. They don't ask a lot, actually. And the mistake is that governments tend to overlook that, and they also overlook the patience of people, and they don't give them, like for example here in America right now there's a big unrest, and because the government has not lived up to the promises they made. Yes, the economy is okay, however there are signs that this is most likely temporary, and there may be some very hard times ahead. And there is a lot of talking, and there is not enough action for we the people. And we the people are worried. But America is, one thing in America is great, and I know that you always feel that I am not appreciating America enough like you do.
Criticism welcome.
Yes, but one thing is very nice and very good about America. It is a livable, alive democracy. You can exchange criticism, you have a freedom of speech, and it's a country of law. So America is also currently going through a huge change, a cultural change. And it's going a step forward in the in humanity's experience to become more humane. That's what it is always about, because it's always the inhumanity, inequality, and injustice to those who are weaker and who are exploited by those who are more powerful. Very simple.
I do agree with you. Of course,
I'm very glad.
We like, of course. We like smart politics. We hate stupid politics. But the thing is that the so-called we the people do not care about the politics that much. Politics belong to politicians. What do we the people care for? For example, Jonathan told me that a pork sells 40 RMB yuan per jin, which is half a kilo in China now. That is what we the people care about.
Right.
Right? And for example, over the shelf of vitamins, if I buy 1,000 pill bottles like this big, as big as a jar, I pay even lower than 75% of regular price. That's what we the people care about. Am I right?
Right.
Right? Oh, all of a sudden, suppose in Shanghai, you open some door, let people in to get the pills of vitamins, pack of porks, packs of beef, packs of anything. Of course, people rush in within 4 hours. Sadly, they have to close the door. Well, happily, they are opening again.
What I wonder is, why not a Chinese company copied the formula of
Exactly.
Costco or the formula of Walmart. I'm always amazed how these companies, because Walmart is everywhere. Everywhere you go to in China, in every big city, first tier city, second tier city, third tier city, somewhere there's a Walmart. And like Starbucks, I'm amazed that why would you, the attraction of the name only, because I mean, anybody can do the same thing. This is not a miracle to sell big portions of something for a lesser price. So I'm surprised why the attraction of these companies who are basically, very exploitive.
That's another challenge.
Yeah.
I agree with you. The conceptual, from a conceptual point of view, that management, the membership's pattern of marketing is really good. It's a good way to go. If China would open the door to learn such a management, though, they can open their own Costco, and not necessarily use the same name. They say Bisco, Cisco, Disco, something like that, right?
Yes.
Okay, they can open their own. All right. However, Costco does not only stand for its name or its membership. You are talking about when you pack some pills, 1,000 pills in one bottle, you're talking about technical challenge. Am I right? Right? So you got to make sure before you consume this 1,000 pill, they will not change. the quality will not change. Suppose you have a 25-pound pack of beef. You have to make sure this 25 pounds, day 1 fresh, day 2 fresh, by day 3 still not sold are still fresh. And day 4, day 5, on, and then at which point you decided not to sell it. Right? So is pork, so are eggs, so is fish, everything. So that kind of management, once again, you remember the other day we were talking about hardware and software. These software things are really another area that China can copy. Do you think so?
Yeah. Or they should have copied a long time ago. And I'm always amazed. What is the attraction of these American companies which, for example, do not attract me? I've never bought anything at Costco, never bought anything at Walmart, never bought anything.
You should try. They're good. They're good.
Yeah, but you see, I'm also not buying volume. I have no family, so that's another reason. I buy it in little portions, so that's different. But anyhow, no, the American distribution system is probably the best in the world of distributing merchandise.
You're right. You're right.
And that's, for example, the other side of China, where the internet has helped the Chinese farmers to become part of a nationwide net of supplying. Like in the western region, you can sell, when you have too many apples, you can sell them to the eastern region where they are populated.
I have this experience. I wonder if you have that at a different hours after slaughter, the meat tastes totally different.
Yes.
Tastes totally different thing.
Yes.
Right.
That goes for fruits too.
Yeah.
For vegetables.
You buy through frozen, that tastes one taste, and you buy from Costco, which is much fresher than frozen, and the taste totally different beef. Totally different beef. Okay. Now, when the door opens, when the Chinese rushes into the Costco store, when they started to see that kind of beef, though, that opens a brand new world of beefing. Am I right?
For them, yes.
Yeah, for them, yes. Right? So, if China would copy the whole system themselves, they have enough land to raise their cows. Right? To raise their cows. They can produce their own beef without having to rely on the United States that much. And now that, on the other hand, Costco bring the finished beef, packed beef, through Costco to China, though, that reduces the pressure of their relying on their market, though. So, do you see people at the people level, they are working to help the government?
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
In a way, yes, right?
Of course, yeah.
The people, we the people, at the we the people level, are helping the government with their problems, right? Of course, for the government, why they fight, I don't know why they fight.
I don't know either.
I don't know. Do you know?
No, I don't. I'm always flabbergasted. Why? Because you see, and I go back to my much admired sage Lao Tzu, who always said that violence violence doesn't work, and this is violence. I mean, this is a different kind of violence, but it is violence, and doesn't work because the human people.
And Lao Tzu also said, never do to people what you do want to happen. Want to happen to you.
That was Confucius.
Oh, Confucius. Yeah.
That's the golden rule.
Was not do not wish what happened to you.
Yeah. So it's so easy actually when you and this is what attracts me to Chinese philosophy so much, because it's so basic and so wise and relevant today.
That's why I named the show today, We the People Needs to Be Presented.
Yeah.
better represented.
Yes, and
Better represented, right? What they are doing does not represent what we want at the people level.
yes,
Right?
and you see
we
what,
want beef, we want for fresh beef,
yes,
right?
yes, and what is essential to know that actually the people do not want much.
They say trade, they say tariff.
Yeah.
Right? Tariff is mutual, right?
It
It's
hurts everybody.
It's been there anywhere. They say spying. Can you tell me any two countries who do not spy each other?
No. And also, you know, what's wrong when you learn. That's why, for example, you see China invited a lot of car companies, for example, to join, to have joint ventures, because this way they could learn exactly how a Mercedes is being built.
Sure.
And it's, but you know, it's so
In
simple.
other words, as a government, you should let go your power, let people take care of their own business.
That's
All right.
exactly it.
Okay, my dear friends, once again, we're talking about at the grassroots level what we can do to help people helping us, to help people helping us. Instead of relying upon government to do us a favor, we'd better rely upon ourselves helping us by helping each other. So stay with us. We'll be right back, please.
Everything
Rebound.
is
We have
expected
to continue
straight.
to work
It's
on
like
it now.
seems wrong way.
My name is Paul James. I host English news every morning.
And a Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, my dear brothers, sisters, and my dear friends. Welcome back to the show Jack Chow on the East West by Wolfers, the Belgium royal family, a designated brand of jewelry with 400 years of history and handforged by 10 generations of the greatest craftsmen, which altogether stand for the spectacular, testimony to spectacular and a share of royal glory. Back to the show. With me today is my good friend, Mr. Chris Nibby. I thank you very much for coming over, especially on a Friday. But the thing is that I can't wait to share with you, with my audiences, the overjoy on hearing what's happening in Costco Shanghai. Lots of people see, oh, there's a mess. No, I see that's a flower, a beautiful flower there. That really indicates what people at the people level want, right? Now that seeing what people at the people level want, though, I want to remind you, not only in the retail market, in the film business, people are doing things at the level or to indicate, to exactly show what the people want at the people level. I give you my friend Chris Nibby. He's been directing films of that nature to tell you who friends are, who the enemies were, or who the friends were and who the enemies are, either way, right? So I would like to encourage you to talk about your film of the Burma Road Flying Tiger, right? That film will probably tell you that United States has never been our enemy. United States has never been China's enemy, neither China to the United States, right? Can you please start telling me your film?
Yes, the Burma Road, it's a story which is sometimes already forgotten, but actually it's a very interesting proof of humanity working across oceans and from faraway places. When Japan attacked China in 1937, China was fighting brutal. And
Has the United States attacked China? I know little in history.
No,
Has China attacked the United States?
no.
So these two countries never have attacked each other.
No, but there was at that time for the Chinese government an aviation advisor who was a retired American Army pilot, and somehow America decided, at that time they were not at war with China, they were not at war with Japan, and they decided to help China. But Japan had already surrounded China, so there was no access anymore through the ports of China. The only access left was through Burma. Today it's called Myanmar, which was a British colony, and Britain was, of course, an ally of America. And there was the port of Rangoon. Now it's called Yangon. And at that time, British India and Burma was under the same British colonial rule, and the Brits and the Americans shipped warplane parts of warplanes to Burma, and then there was a rail station from Yangon to Lashio in Burma, and there was a horse trail going right through unbelievable high and densely mountainous and densely populated, dense jungle terrain, but it was a horse trail. So what was needed was to have from Lashio to have a way to transport these materials to China, because the southwest of China was really never occupied by Japan, but it was bombed all the time. So the experts said it's impossible to build this road within a short time. So here's a miracle which happened. There were Chinese farmers who, for a bowl of rice, with their bare hands, about 300,000 of them, with their bare hands, children, mothers, and I have footage, documentary footage where mothers have their
little kid
on their back,
helping,
children breaking the stones. They built a trail which was passable by trucks, and the trucks brought the needed arms and weaponry and other supplies to China, to Yunnan, the city of Kunming. And the expert had estimated that even with perfect modern equipment, this road would take about 6 years to build. The Chinese were able to build it in less, I repeat, in less than 1 year. That's a miracle.
Yeah, less than 12 months, yes.
Yes. Then a few years later, the Japanese also had occupied Southeast Asia and Myanmar, and it was cut off. And now this army, it was not the American army. It was American retired or left out of service flyer pilots who flew these aircraft, which they had assembled in Burma.
On a volunteer basis.
On a volunteer basis, but they were very well paid. They were actually mercenaries. Later on, when Japan had attacked Pearl Harbor, the Flying Tigers were integrated in the American Air Force and became part of the American Air Force. So in the early 40s, I think, when Japan had occupied Burma, now India was still not occupied, so they flew over the mountains from India to Kunming, but they needed airports. So they built a string of airports from Lijiang all the way across down to the south of Yunnan and to Guilin in the Guangxi Zhuang,
Guangxi Zhuang
yeah,
nationalities, yeah.
autonomous region, which is called today. And that way they fought the Japanese, and that Colonel Lee Chenault was very capable, that he became a colonel then officially, was very, very capable strategist and did a lot of harm to Japanese aircraft. This is sort of a legend of American and Chinese cooperation, which is most of the flyers have died. There are some left, there are 9 in there.
I really have to emphasize one thing, that before the political leaders could lie anymore, that before people who eyewitnessed the war die out, before people like you and me who learn from textbooks about the history die out, we have documentaries made for the young people to keep in mind that, in short, at a time during the Chinese anti-Japanese war, when the Chinese needed a road, here goes the road. With the help of the United States of America, with American friends. At a time when China needed an airport in the anti-Japanese war, there goes the airport with the help of America. American friends, right? These are the films, Burma Road, Flying Tiger, made by this great man, my dear friend, Chris Nibby. As a friend, I love you for that. As a show host, I thank you for that.
I appreciate the
On
compliment.
behalf
Thank
of
you.
humanity. Right?
Yes.
My dear friend, let's take a short moment out. When we come back, let's see another film that Mr. Chris Nibby has made for the same direction, to the same direction, however, teaching you, instead of who built the road, who built the airport to the Chinese, to tell you who killed the Chinese in the most horrific way. That is Unit 731, this great man shot. So only by learning who our friends are, who our enemies are, will you understand, is it necessary to fight a trade whatsoever war with America? Or to the Americans say, is it necessary to fight a war we fought together or all together all the time with China?
Everything
We have
expected
to
and
continue to
straight.
work
It's
on
like
it
it
now.
seems on ways.
My name is Paul James. I host English News.
and the Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, my dear friends, my lovely audience, dear brothers and sisters. Welcome back to the show, my lovely audiences, to the East-West that is exclusively sponsored by Wolfers, the Belgian royal family designated brand of jewelry with 400 years of glory in the hand forged by 10 generations of greatest masterman, which stands altogether for a testimony to the spectacular and the share of glory. Royal glory. My dear friend Chris Nibby, who I feel so proud about, is a great man who has done great contribution to humanity by accumulating a series of documentaries in which you can find evidences of during the war in history who did what. In spite of the fact people can lie, especially political leaders, they can lie. They tell you exactly what happened in war. We touched base with you about his one film, Burma Road, Flying Tiger. And we want to introduce you another film. And I would invite you to bring us a little basic of your another one, the Unit 731, please.
You see, the wise Chinese philosophers always said that history determines our future. What happened in history determines the future. And in America, most Americans really do not. For them, World War II in the Pacific starts with Pearl Harbor and ends with Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They have no idea, also in Europe, they have no idea that in World War II, Germany and Japan were partners. And there was an agreement between these two fascist partners, even though Japan was an imperial nation.
To divide the world.
To capture the world. And the big apple for Germany was Russia, and the big apple for Japan was China. Both failed to succeed in subjugate either Russia, to conquer and subjugate either Russia, and Germany lost the war because of that, and China lost the war because, Japan lost the war because they could not subjugate and control, occupy China. So there was another thing which was very interesting, and which a lot of people also do not know, that already in 1931, Japan has these small islands and the desire to expand. So here was a part of China, the northeast of China, which is called Manchuria or Dongbei, where the Manchu are the dominant group of minority. And they also formed, the Qing dynasty was basically a Manchu dynasty. So in 1931, Japan attacked China and occupied that northeastern part of China, and ruled it from 1931 until 1945. And they were quite successful. They, United Nations at that time were called the League of Nations. They did not accept this annexation of China, that part of China, and Japan left the United Nations. And then in 1937, in Beijing, they attacked China and started World War II. Generally, people always think World War II started in 1939 by Germany attacking Poland, which is incorrect. It actually started 1937 by Japan from Manchukuo. They even took the old...
In my understanding, it started September 18th, 1931.
Yes, in Manchukuo, yes.
In Manchukuo, yes.
And they must, and I must say, they did build a very successful territory in Manchuria over the 15 years they controlled it. And that is today, it's considered the Chinese Rust Belt, because all these old high industrial parts are no longer, heavy machinery and so on is being built there. It's no longer prominent. Anyhow,
okay.
So I made a film about this part, starting with the 1931 conquest of northeast China, plus the eventual war with China proper. And by the way, this northeastern part of China, a great part of it is today Russia, because Russia occupied a big piece of land, and it became Russia north of the Amur River, which is the border. And this is a history which is very fascinating, because it is so important and so relevant for what became of China after the Civil War, in 1949, and with their relationship with Japan and
So we have to come to the 731.
yes.
What exactly Unit
And
731?
Unit 731 was a medical experimentation camp in Harbin, which is the northernmost city with a beautiful Russian-style basilica, a church, and very much influenced by Russian architecture. And it's in the north, extreme north of northeast China. And they had a secret, supposedly secret experimentation camp where they did medical experiments on Chinese and some Russians, and it's also some Americans they caught. And they did what the Germans did in their camps, trying to learn about how human beings would react in freezing, how it would be if you would cut an arm off here and put this arm on this side, like exchange the arm. And a lot of absurd medical experiments and injecting people with vaccines who had illness creating bacteria, and then also they created bacteria which they did put in bombs. They infected fleas and they put them in ceramic bombs, and then they flew them over cities like Ningbo and Changde in Hunan, I think, Changde, and dropped them and infected hundreds, thousands of people.
Yes.
So that was chemical and bacterial warfare, etc., etc. And that's what they did there. And in the end, there was the man was called, I think, Shiro Hito. He got scot-free after the war because he turned over to the Americans in Japan all the research they had done, and that way the Americans learned a lot, similar as the Americans took the nuclear scientists from Germany and had them build the nuclear facilities in
As
America.
you can see, my dear friend, this is a huge credit. Lots of people do not know what the Japanese Unit 731 was about. And the little had anybody said anything, including the government, about the Unit 731, because they have their own plan, had their own plan to do. But the people, at the people level, should remember who the enemies were, who the enemies still are at this time, right? Because the Unit 731, they use a real human body to do their quote-unquote medical test, to do their chemical weapon test, right? For which lots of people became victims, and they got rotten arms, rotten legs, stuff like that, all right? Anyway, so those are the films that these documentaries tell you who the enemies were and who the enemies should be. Now, instead of mystifying you with the true friends as a true enemy, well, we really want to make some calls to people, for people to look into what this man did. At least two films. Number one, The Burma Road, The Flying Tiger. Number two, Unit 731, to see who exactly our friends should be, who exactly our enemies should be. Especially at this moment when the government are fighting wars, trade wars, whatsoever wars, for their politics at the ground level when people are concerned. We need to be more represented. If they are not representing us, we need to voice out. We want peace. We want to be hand in hand. We want American beefs. And we want Chinese tea. We want Chinese barbecue stuff, so on and so forth. People need each other. We're using the incident of Costco in Shanghai as a lead line to further deepen our thoughts of the U.S.-China trade war, which is never necessary at the people level. With me today, my friend Chris Nibby, who has done a great job in shooting those documentaries. We thank him very much. We thank him for his opinions. We thank him for coming over here to share. We're over time, but I'm very happy, super happy, never happy than now.
Thank you very much. 谢谢你，老朋友。
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.